I didn't paskin it.
You say Rabbi Stein said it's fun.
What do you call it? I did offer her. I said, I have enough pull with the mikveh. I can get you in before everybody else. She couldn't get an appointment till in the middle of the Super Bowl. So I said, I have enough pull. I said, I'm not going to tell them why I need you to go earlier, but I will. Okay.
We're living in an interesting world. People ask me shalos about that Super Bowl. Darche is running a full night Seder program so the boys don't watch the Super Bowl. I'm geweldig.
They're asking you shalos now?
YFR is also has a program. Anyways, okay, let's go.
And we usually have a halftime program.
We have.
What? You give the daf usually during halftime.
Do I?
Is it at halftime or it's at 8:30?
It's at 8:30, whatever time that happens to be.
Right.
You got to be moser nefesh a little bit in life. Come on.
That's right. That's right.
I've told this story before. I'm not going to repeat it here. I've told you that story.
The Super Bowl in the 20s, they didn't even have TVs then.
No, it wasn't. No, we were all standing in the snow up to our necks outside of Yankee Stadium, and we were learning Mussa's firm. No, David, we used to go every Sunday to the Shechter's house to watch. We didn't go to Second Seder in Yeshiva.
Not the Polo Grounds? Not the Polo Grounds?
We didn't go. We went to the Shechter. Yoni Cotton's house that he's building for 4 years. That house. That's where we watched all the ball games. We never went to Second Seder during football season. I made up with Benji Brescia. We said, this is absurd. They're making such a to-do about the Jets, about the Super Bowl. No Super Bowl, no nothing. We're all going to Second Seder. None of us watched the Super Bowl. We went to Second Seder. The Jets were only time in the Super Bowl. Okay?
That's why they won, because of you guys.
Okay. I know, Kanami.
That's a nizirus nefesh.
The next time the Giants are in it, I'll let you have to learn.
Yeah. Anyways.
Maybe go back to Second Seder again so they can have another chance of winning.
maybe
if I became Rev Kivega, the Jets would have a chance of winning. Maybe. Maybe.
Anyways, maybe Hashem's upset that they missed the Super Bowl, and that's why he never sent them back there. How does that? Yeah, Rami, you ever think that way? Okay. Anyways,
I should think that way though, but
yeah.
How about we do the daf so we don't run out the clock?
Yeah, I think we did our musser.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, there we go. Another guy who's stuck in crazy traffic. Okay. Anyways, all right. So now, he called David, but I can't answer now. So,
he should know not to call. If he knew you, he wouldn't call you now.
By the way, I do have an auto reply that I can't call now. I can call you like in whatever for Friday.
On Shabbos.
But I didn't. No. Between now, you got the little window between the shear and taking a shower and lichtbenchen and whatever. Don't ask. Okay. Anyways, so we had this. We have this shaila. We have the shaila of does a nazir the brilliant nazir again, who's in a cemetery, who would be calling David, right? He wouldn't text, he would call, right? Right? He's stuck in a cemetery, and he's going to be tamei. So
he is tamei because he's in a cemetery.
I'm saying he's tamei, but he's going to need to get out of the tumah. Right, so the question was, does he need to take a haircut? Does that tumah of the nazir require, right? A nazir that becomes tamei has to take a haircut. Does this guy require a haircut or not? So that was the back and forth. So we're up to the final pshat. Tashema, 3 lines down. The tamei roish nizra. It says, and the head of the nazir is tamei. The tahor shenitma kasabadaber. That's talking about a nazir who was tahor, who became tamei. Right. Right, so he became tamei. He was regular standard nazir, became tamei. Shutan havara seir vavas tzipar. He needs to bring birds, and he needs to take a haircut. Lifter is a nazir bekever, and it means he's going to. It also is coming to tell you that a nazir who became in a cemetery, it's going to be potter from the haircuts and from the korbanos. He does not need taking off the hair and bringing the bird, right? Meaning that, so clearly, what does it say? That a nazir nazir tamei that's in a cemetery doesn't have to shave off the hair. That answers our question, right? That was our question. Does he have to shave the hair? It says he does not have to shave the hair. Now the Gemara says the reason. So a tar that became tamei requires the hair to be removed. Misha and korbanos. Misha yatami mitchila. Somebody was tamei before that. Isn't in a kavachaymer that she's going to require that he's going to require havas ziparin. Right now, that's a kavachaymer saying you should. Meaning again, if a guy who's tahor who becomes tamei requires this, so a guy who's tamei in the first place, he's worse off. So he should also need a tamei. Remember, tamei rosh nizirus, the tamei of the head of his rosh nizirus. Misha hayatar v'nitma kasavadaver. We're talking about somebody who's tar who became tamei. Sheitar navar se'ev ziparin. So only a nazir who's tar and tamei then becomes tamei, then he needs it. The lifter is a nazir b'kever, but he's going to pater somebody who becomes nazir in the kever. So chamina. So meaning we would have thought on our own that's a kavachaymer that a nazir sitting in the cemetery would have to bring the korbanos and shave his hair. The passuk tells us no, only a nazir that was only a nazir that was tahor and then became tamei. Yeah, fine. Shmami, no, and that's how we passuk. Fine. So mantana. Now the Gemara go. What are you saying?
Would there be any tzad to say that a nazir who took care of a mace mitzvah would be different?
I don't. Why would that be?
Maybe just like it goes totally out of the parsha for those 6 hours. He's not. It doesn't. I'm saying maybe there's absolutely no reason, but
That's like the Hatzalah Tziyach of Shabbos. Is it that Shabbos doesn't apply to them, or is it they don't get an Isser?
No, but it doesn't make a difference. The question is, does he have to take a haircut for whatever reason that he's tamei?
no. Is there any tzad to say he's not tamei? It's like an out-of-body experience. He's not.
Oh, you mean he's not tamei at all?
Those 6 hours, he's always sick in the mace mitzvah. He's not. It doesn't interfere with his nizirus. Is there any tzad to say such a thing? If there isn't, there isn't. I just was thought.
I don't know. I don't know.
Because we keep on saying this guy's a Meshuggah, so maybe he's not. Mace mitzvah. He's the biggest tzaddik in the world. He took care of mace mitzvah.
No, that's true. He probably does have to take care of mason. It doesn't mean he doesn't have to deal with the ramifications of it.
Yeah. Okay. Fine.
I think.
Fine.
I mean, doesn't a kohen, a tzala guy, have to go into a hospital? I'm saying, even if there's Jewish dead people, if it's going to help somebody, I mean, there's no ramifications nowadays, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, okay. So then the Gemara says, "Man tan al hadatan rabbanan, ein bein tamei l'shano." Now we're going back to this braysa that we said before, that there's ein bein tamei l'shanazir l'nazir tar, a tamei who became a nazir. That's the guy in the cemetery. L'nazir tar, to a guy who's a nazir, who was tar shenitman, then became tamei. That's the standard case. We said that the tamei who becomes a nazir, his 7th day, he needs the 7 days of the sprinkling on the 3rd and the 7th day, and he goes to mikvah. He becomes tar on the 7th day, and his count starts that day. Right, so he gets a 2-for-1. He gets a double dip. It's the 7th day of his tahara process from the tumas mace. It's also day 1 of his next nizirus. But nazir tar shenitma, but a nazir who's tar and then became tamei, ein shvi shaloi oiloloi min haminyan. So then his 7th is not part of the minyan, right? Meaning not. He doesn't. The day 7 counts as day 7 for tahara. Day 8 will start the counting. So who is the tana? Amar of this, the Rebbi. It's Rebbi, Dama Rebbi, ein nizirus tahara chola ela hachmini. Rebbi says that the nizirus for a tahara, a tar nazir who then became tamei, doesn't start. The count doesn't start until the 8th day. Because if you say it's Rabbi Yosi Yehuda, ha'amar nizirus tatara mishvi Yehuda chayla. Rabbi Yosi Rabbi Yehuda holds that the Nazirs, when he becomes tamei, his count starts on day 7, not on day 8. That's it. Okay, my Rebbi Yosi Rabbi Yehuda. What's Rebbi and what's Rabbi Yosi Yehuda? The Tanya, it says the Kiddush is Rosh Hashanah. Now it's interesting because the Gemara is going to bring this Machlokes, and then on the bottom line of the Gemara, it's going to bring the Machlokes again and explain it more in depth. The Tanya Kiddush is Rosh Hashanah, and he could be Mekadesh his head on that day. B'yayim habas korbanos of divrei Rebbi, meaning Rebbi holds that on the day that he takes his haircuts, that's when he brings his korbanos, which is when? The 8th day. And that's when he's being Makadash's Roisha. Meaning when he's Makadash's Roisha means he's no longer taking haircuts. So what does he do? He takes the haircut on the 8th day and the korbanos, and he starts his count that day. On the day that he cut his hair, which is the day before. I think I said before that he's cutting his hair on the 8th day. No, he's cutting his hair on the 7th day. But the korbanos are being brought on the 8th day. So according to Rebbi, we just go with the korbanos. So therefore, once the 8th day is the day he's supposed to bring his korbanos, so that's when day 1 of his nizirus starts. Rabbi Yehuda holds no, it goes with his haircut. His haircut's on day 7. So since on day 7 is his haircut, so day 1 for his nazir starts then. So then the Gemara says, so we learned in a mishna nazir shenit matumas harbe. Let's say a nazir he becomes a nazir, many nazirs, right? Many tumahs. Ain't maybe ela korban echad. He only has to bring one korban, right? Man Tana, who's the Tana? Amar of Chisda. So Rav Chisda says, I just lost. Where am I? I just lost the place. But again, I'm sorry. But it's not nazir shenit matumas harbe. Ain't maybe ela korban echad. So a nazir that has many tumahs only brings one korban. Man Tana, who's the Tana? So now we have to and then what's going to be bothering the Gemara here is that, let's say a nazir becomes tamei today. So his nizirus is shot. And then he starts his 7-day tahara process. And then in 4 days from now, he becomes tamei mace again, another mace mitzvah, right? Rabbi, he got another mace mitzvah. So now does he have to bring 2 korbanos because he became tamei mace twice? No, obviously, that's all inclusive, right? But what happens if he becomes tamei mace on day 7? Right, what happens if it becomes day 7 or day 8? Is he bringing 2 korbanos or 1? Right, so let's see. So Mantana, who's the Tana? Amar of Chisda, Rabbi Yosi Rabbi Yehuda. The Amar nizirus tahira mishvi chayla. The nizirus of a tahira, somebody who's tar he starts day 1 on day 7. What's the case where he only brings 1 korban? He became tamei on the 7th day, and then he became tamei again. He waited 7 days, and then he became tahor again. Right? So that kivan, they'll skip the parentheses. Kivan de lo yatsa shah haruya lahavi korban. Since he never got to the time that he's supposed to bring a korban, ein chayav ela korban echad. So he's only chayav 1 korban. Meaning again, according to Yehuda, he takes his haircut on the day 7, right? Fine, but his korban's not brought till day 8. So since his korban wasn't yet brought, we're gonna go with the korbanos. For tumah, we're gonna go with the korbanos. And therefore, since he was never right to bring the korban, because he became tamei again on day 7, so therefore he only has to bring 1 big korban tumah. Right? The item Rebbi, as if you say it's Rebbi, according to Rebbi, if he became tamei on day 7 and then he became tamei on a week later on day 7 again, kula tumah arichti. That's no different than a guy becoming tamei on day 4 and then day 4 again and day 4 again. But if he became tamei on the 8th day and then the next time he came tamei on the 8th day, so then he would have to bring multiple korbanos because on the 8th day is the day that he's supposed to bring his korban, and he became tamei, right? So therefore, it cannot be according to Rebbi. This braysa has to be according to Yehuda again, because Yehuda says the korban. Everybody says the korban gets brought on the 8th day. Calls man that you are not right to bring a korban, so then you only have to bring if you become tamei again, you only bring one korban, right? So if you became tamei on the seventh day, so then it would make sense according to Rebbi Yosi, Rebbi Yehuda, you're only bringing one korban. But according to Rebbi, since he was right, then you'll have to bring multiple korbanos. Fine, okay. Now my time at the Rebbi, again, the basic thing to understand the Machlokes between Rebbi and Rebbi Yehuda is that Rebbi holds that the 8th day is when the Nazir day starts because you go with the korban. And Rebbi Yehuda says, no, it starts with the 7th day, goes with the haircut. Okay, again, now the Gemara explains. My time at the Rebbi, on Makra, so the passuk says, "V'chiper alav me'asher chata al hanefesh." He's going to have a kapara for doing a chet on a nefesh, meaning for the dead person. The kiddush is a rosh, and then it says, and then his head becomes tar. So when does his nizirus come back with his head? It comes back only after he becomes the chet from the nefesh is done with, which is when the korban is. So that's why Rebbi says that's the 8th day. Fine. Rebbi Yosi, Rebbi Yehuda, imkain leima kra v'kiddush es roshai. Right? Why does he have to say v'kiddush es roshai? And here the Gemara doesn't say it b'yom ha'hu. Why does the passuk have to say? Why not just say v'kiddush es roshai? Right? He brings the korbanos for doing the chet of a nazir becoming tamei, and then kiddush es roshai, and then his head becomes red. Why does it say v'kiddush es roshai b'yom ha'hu? Right? Right? So on tamei base, b'yom ha'hu lamali. Why does he need b'yom ha'hu? If it's not an Indian for the 8th day, because we don't need it, we know that he for sure has nizirus going on the 8th day. So therefore, it's going to be then it's going to be on the 7th day. So that's the Machlokes. Okay. Now, what is Rebbi doing with the extra b'yom ha'hu? The Rebbi nami haksib b'yom ha'hu. Rebbi says it says b'yom ha'hu. So Malach Rebbi hahu lahach Yehuda asa. The reason why it says b'yom ha'hu is to tell you loy malach afal pisha loy hevi korbanos. So even if he didn't bring his korbanos, and that's that's a whole nother knetch in this. Meaning Rebbi holds that the 8th day counts as day 1, even if he didn't bring the korbanos. Right? Meaning, let's say the guy got delayed and he didn't bring his korbanos on the 8th day. Right? There was traffic going to the Beis HaMikdash, or the animals, they couldn't find animals. So he's going to bring his korbanos on the 9th day. Does his nazir count start on the 8th day, or does he have to wait for the 9th day?
If he wasn't he's totally tar.
He's totally tar.
So I'm saying he's totally tar, even though he didn't bring the korbanos.
Correct, but he doesn't have the kapara for becoming tamei. So Rebbi says, as long as he's roy, as long as he hit the 8th day tar, then he could start his nazir count. Meaning, it's tied into bringing the korban, but not mamish. It's tied into being roy for the korban, but not exactly. We're going to see that there's really four different shittas. We'll see it in a few lines. But anyways, that's what Rebbe's telling you. B'yom ha'hu tells you that he becomes the 8th day, starts his next nazir count right away. Rav Chisda, my dochke lok mika Rebbi Yosi Rebbi Yehuda. So how come Rav Chisda says you have to say it that's going only according to Rebbi Yosi Rebbi Yehuda, meaning the braysa that says that multiple times you can become tamei multiple times, you only bring one chatas, right? So what is it? Who is it like? And why is he saying it's Daf Rebbi Yosi Yehuda? Look, make it going to nitmat the chazi belel shmini. Why don't you say that he became tamei on the night of the 8th? Meaning he kept his 7 days, took his haircut, and then that night, on the 8th night, meaning the night between the 7th and the 8th, right? He became tamei. Now then, it's really the 8th day. We don't bring korbanos until the daytime, but really it's already his 8th day. So maybe, according to Rebbi, that could start his nazir count, but he was not right to bring a korban yet. So therefore, he only has to bring one korban. So, right? So we're basically saying why you have to say Rebbi Yosi Yehuda, and he became tamei on day 7. Why don't you just say the case is it's going like Rebbi, and he became tamei at night, right? So look, make it going to nitmut the chazi belel shmini for Rebbi, and it's what's going to Rebbi. So the one answers when the loy maikum look Rebbi, since he didn't go with Rebbi, lema kasaver lel yalav mechusers manu. Must be he holds that at night is not considered mechusar zman, meaning it's already considered the time that you bring a korban. Meaning, we said that as long as, according to Rebbi, as long as you're roy on the 8th day, you could start your nazir count. So he's saying 8th day means right away at night. Oh, you can't bring a korban at night. You can only bring a korban during the day. So maybe if he was tamei during the day, then it's that if he was tamei at night, he cannot start his count, and well, he can't start his count, but it would be considered all part of his original tumah, and he'd only bring one animal, right? One chatos. So therefore, it tells you that no, he holds. You wouldn't think that because it's not considered mechusar zman. It is considered the time to bring the korban. Basically, we're saying that Rebbi holds that even though at night you don't bring korbanos, that is still considered the 8th night. Finished. So the Gemara says, no, one is totally on the other. One depends on the other. Because if you say that the time is mechusar zman, meaning, and it's not considered right to bring a korban, emas mixi lekorban letzafra, right? When is emas mixi lekorban? When is he right to bring the korban? Letzafra in the morning. Nizirus nami lechayla tzafra. Nizirus also doesn't start until the morning, right? Meaning he's saying now that we thought the nizirus starts at night. The day one starts at night. It does not. It starts during the day. But if you hold at night is not considered missing the time, right? Meaning, and therefore the zman really to bring a korban is at night. We just don't let you bring it at night. So nizirus tahor chayla me'orto. Then the nizirus of tahor is going to happen at night. Meaning, we're saying that mamanoshach, the nizirus is directly tied into when you could bring the korban. Either they're both going to be at night or they're both going to be during the day. We're not going to say that one starts before the other. So since we're not going to say that one starts before the other, therefore we don't. Therefore, it's not the same type of thing. Fine. Okay. Gufa. Gufa. Nitma b'shvi. B'chazim and nitma b'shvi. So it's interesting. You see, Gufa, Gershon's not on. We got to get him back to feeling better. But Gufa normally means a repeat of what the Gemara said before. Now the Gemara is going to discuss it. Right? Here it can't mean that because the Gemara is not quoting something
You're not
before.
speaking on behalf of all of us, Yaakov, but okay.
There you go. Right? So it should be really Tanur Rabbanon. Right? Which is what the Bach changes it to Tanur Rabbanon because it's a new thing. But anyway, so Tanur Rabbanon. Or Gufa. Nitma b'shvi, a guy becomes tamei on the 7th day. And then the next 7th day becomes tamei. Maybe ella korban echad. He only brings one korban. Right? Nitma b'shmini, meaning because he was one long tumah process. He became tamei on day 7, and then again on the next month, day 7. And the next month, day 7. So it's only, he never made it out of his 7 days. So he only brings one korban. But nitma b'shmini, b'chazim and nitma b'shmini becomes tamei on the 8th. And then he goes and becomes tamei again on the 8th. Maybe korban I'll call echad ve'echad. He brings a korban on each and every one. Right? Maskil u'mayna miyad. And he starts his nizirus right away on day 7. Who's that like? So now this is a whole, you see a lot of letters, a lot of numbers there, a lot of aleph beis. So that's why it's either divrei Rebbi or divrei Rebbi Eliezer, but whatever it is, right? But that's what it's saying. And the Chachamim say, korban echad ala kol at sheyabi chatasai. He brings one korban until, hold on a second. Hello? No, he didn't get an appointment, so he didn't get an appointment.
I just want to say that the song of the daf is by ההוא.
Yeah.
Monday,
Monday
Miami Boys Choir.
Monday.
But Gershon's not on, so he can't confirm.
Harris, you just froze a minute. What was the song of the daf?
By ההוא, I think it's a Miami Boys
Choir. I'm just in the
Choir.
middle of the shir, so.
There you go.
You're right.
Wait for Gershon to rejoin.
Yeah, okay. What was the song of the daf?
Was that still stuck in traffic?
No, that was the different shot. I'll get back to that guy.
Oh.
I say, where
Not
are you?
the same by ההוא, but that's okay.
I asked that guy where he is. He says he doesn't know. Wonderful. Okay, well, it's going to be an interesting one. But anyways, korban echad ala kol ad sheyavi chatasai. Chachamim say he brings one korban on everything until he brings his korban chatas. Right? So, meaning, according to the Tanakama, or either it's Rebbi Eliezer, as long as he starts the 8th day, even if he doesn't bring the korban, he starts, then he has to bring multiple korbanos. So again, if he becomes tamei, and then on the 8th day becomes tamei again, then he has to bring 2 korbanos, because it's considered 2 rounds of becoming tamei. If it was the 7th day, then it's not. Right? But Chacham say no. He brings a korban, one korban, until he brings his korban chatas. Meaning it could be the 8th day, the 9th day, like we said before. Let's say he gets pushed off, and he, for whatever reason, couldn't bring his korban chatas on the 8th day, or he couldn't bring it in the morning, and then he became tamei. So even though it was the 8th day, he still needs to only bring one korban. Right? If he brings a chatas, then he became tamei, and then he brings another chatas v'nitma, maybe korban kol echad ve'echad, right? That's passuk. He brings a korban on each and every one. Hevi chatasai v'loy hevi ashamai. Oh, but let's say he only brought the korban chatas. Right? He has to bring 3 korbanos: chatas, asham, and oila. Trifecta, right? So if he brings the chatas and he didn't bring the asham, then minor he could start his nizirus. Meaning he doesn't have to bring both korbanos. He only has to bring one. I mean, he has to bring them, but if he brings the chatas and he didn't bring the oila, he still starts his count, and he would have to bring, if he becomes tamei in between the chatas and the oila, he would have to bring again another chatas. The same way the korban chatas pushes him off, or really holds him back. So it really means it holds him back. So kain asham ma'akva, so his asham also holds him back. Meaning, if he didn't bring the asham and then he becomes tamei, then he only has to bring still one korban. So basically, the Machlokes in the Rabbanan and Rabbi Shmuel is that Rabbi Shmuel holds you need to bring the chatas and the asham in order to get out of your tumah. And the Chachamim say that you only have to bring the chatas. So Gemara asks, Bishlam Rebbi Eliezer Amar Krav, and again, if you say like the Gra, it's Rebbi, not Rebbi Eliezer. But Bishlam Rebbi Eliezer Amar Krav Kiddush is Roshai b'Yom Ahoh. Right? It says he's Makadesh his day on that day. Even though he didn't bring his korbanos, but it's by Yom Ahoh. Rabbanon, Hahu Afal Pishaloi Hevi Hashami. That's even if he didn't bring his asham. Rabbi Shmuel, Hahu Lamali. Rabbi Shmuel, what is he doing with the word Hahu? Right? What does he need Hahu for? He holds that you need to bring the oila and the asham and the chatas. So Amallah Hahu Afal Pishaloi Hevi oila. So Rabbi Shmuel holds the oila you don't have to bring. Meaning, if they brought the chatas and the asham, then his nizirus counts. It starts the clock, and if it becomes tamei again, he has to bring another korban. Rabbanon, what are they going to do? Oila loy by miyuta. You don't need a miyut from oila. Durin ba'amu, because an oila is just a present. A durin is a present. An oila is just a present to Hashem. Asham and chatas are brought because he did something wrong. And oila is not brought because of that. Right? That's just like a present to Rebbi. So if he doesn't bring that, that's not going to have any sway over his tumah. Okay, my tamei de Rabbanon. Why did the Rabbanon say that by Yom Ahoh is coming to tell you that you don't need to bring asham? The Tanya b'Yisrael Hashem b'Simein Nizrei v'Hevi keves ben shnasai la'asham. It says that you make a nizirus to Hashem, then you make Nizrei and you bring a keves, a sheep, right? And that's 1 year old for an asham. Matam elamer. We know that an asham in the Torah is always ma'akiv. You're supposed to bring a korban asham and you don't bring it. So it's ma'akiv. Your asham is for tshuva. So you would think that the korban asham of a nazir that became tamei should also be ma'akiv. That's what the passuk says. V'hizir behavi. You were a nazir, and then you bring it. Which means even if you didn't bring the korban yet, you already become a nazir. Meaning once the 8th day, once dawn hits on the 8th day, he becomes back to nazir status, even if he did not yet bring his korban for chatas. He learns out something else. Hizir is man shehevi. He only becomes a nazir when he actually brings the korban, and in which korbanos he has to both bring the asham and the chatas. Yeah. Okay. I mean, these are not easy dafim. We'll stop over there, but these are not easy dafim. But the olim should have themselves a fine Shabbos, and we should only hear Basudas Taivas.
Good luck answering the next 10 minutes of Shilas.
Time shear
Good
on
luck getting in the shower. Good luck getting in the shower.
what time shear tomorrow?
Who?
Shear tomorrow.
7:05. 7:05.
7:05, Mr.
Well,
Bob.
we're talking about the daf or the?
No,
or
he's
the
asking.
Sefer
No, he's asking Minchas Chinuch. He's asking.
What time did we say? 4:10, right? 4:10 on my mother.
Thank you. Shabbos.
All right. Okay.
Yaakov, it's a good
Spyro,
thing.
you still on? Where's Spyro? Spyro left?
Yaakov, yeah, he left.
Just left.
Yaakov,
I wanted to let him know. Aaron's still on? I want to let him know. Radinsky was sitting next to me most of the year. Not one emergency shiloh.
There you go.
Okay.
Okay. Tell him
And
he
he's a
could share.
passuk.
good Shabbos.
Tell him he could share my. He could share my. payload.
I'm gonna ask him on Shabbos how many before Shabbos driving. How many he gets? How often? I want to find out.
Yeah. All right. Well, let me call
Okay.
one back. What's in? Yeah.
I'm gonna call
All right.
Spyro right now. Let him know.
All right.
Shabbos.